What's up? Welcome to Where in the Sports World. I'm your host, Travis Selger. First off, huge thank you to everybody who listened to the first episode of the show. That, of course, featured former Maryland basketball star Melo Trimble. If you missed that, head back into the archives to listen, or you can watch on YouTube or the FTF Next app. Second episode in, we're already bringing on an all-star, former Major League Baseball all-star, Matt Moore, my guest today. He's a left-handed pitcher who came up through the Tampa Bay Rays minor league system. That after being drafted by the Rays straight out of high school, went on to become an all-star pitcher, appearing in the 2013 All-Star Game at Citi Field in New York. But now, his game has taken him overseas. He's currently pitching in the Pacific League over in Japan. He's there pitching for the SoftBank Hawks, who are the reigning three-time Japan Series champions. So he's pitching for one of the best teams in the league. And he was kind enough to give me a bunch of time during this interview. We discuss everything from why this isn't his first time living in Japan, a unique story there, to coming within 1 out of a no-hitter in the MLB, to if he remembers the 3 guys he got out in that 2013 All-Star game. He pitched 1 inning. He faced 3 batters. We'll quiz him, see if he remembers those 3 All-Stars he faced. We're all over the map right now with Matt Moore. Matt, this is Where in the Sports World. That's the podcast and show. So you got to let everyone know, where in the sports world are you right now?
Yeah, this season I'm playing with Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, and we're in Fukuoka, Japan, and enjoying it definitely.
It's got to be such a unique time for you because this is your first season playing in Japan, and obviously there are so many other things going on in the world. What has this year been like from back in the winter months when you originally signed this contract to then going through everything you had to go through to get there, including getting your family there?
Yeah, I definitely think there's been a few more ups than downs. I was without my family, I think, for about maybe 5 weeks or so, I think. Yeah, about that, 4 or 5 weeks. And everything was relatively normal through February into March. And then, as the virus started to pick up, and once we shut down and had we kind of got rid of regular baseball practice and just kind of were doing our own thing at the stadium. Once it picked back up, it ramped up pretty quick and started to feel normal again. And I think, as of last week, we're about half capacity at the stadium. So I think there's somewhere around 20,000 fans, in our ballpark. But overall, this is my second time ever living in Japan. But at my age now, definitely have a new perspective, and it's nice to be able to share it with my wife and our little boy.
Baseball-wise, for people who aren't familiar with the NPB and more specifically the Pacific League, which you're playing in, where do you kind of rate the baseball in terms of where you've been throughout your career and your past experiences?
Well, at times it feels, as high a quality as ever. I think it's just a different approach to the game. While in the States it seems to be a little more power oriented, a little more shallow, I guess you could call it. Not every out, it means as much as it does here. They battle through each at bat, all the way to the end. And striking out here is something that you can tell the hitters take pride in and not giving in. They battle really, throughout the at bat. I think just in general, having to, figuring out how to pitch to contact, is something means a little bit different than pitching to contact back, in the States. But, from a team standpoint, it's still the same. You still have, you still have your stars. You still have, the guys that you can just tell, they eat and sleep baseball. You got your comedians. It's been fun getting to fit into a new clubhouse.
I was talking with Reed Garrett, who's a closer there in the Pacific League, another fellow American guy who had spent some time in the major leagues before. And he was mentioning that same thing in terms of battling, and that like there'll be a guy that you feel like you've got 2 strikes on, it's an 0-2 count, and they'll foul off like 5 or 6 pitches, and it's got to be so frustrating for you. What's the adjustment been like to try to pitch to some of those guys who they may not be able to get a hit, but they're going to force it to a full count and they're going to find a way to get on base?
Yeah, sometimes I think our approach has been to aim a little more over the heart of the plate. Because if you're trying to make pitches on the corners, or on the outside part of the zone, I think they can let the ball travel a little farther, and kind of just fight you off down the line somewhere, or just get a piece of it. So I think kind of forcing the matter. They obviously want to put the ball in play. They're choked up. They're short in their swing. So at times we're definitely kind of just aiming, more over the heart of the plate to kind of force the matter instead of kind of picking around the zone and giving them more of a chance to work out the end of the bat. But I think just in general, there's that third strike, you could tell it's something that they're going to make you earn, and it's something they take pride in.
The small ball too is something that I've noticed is really unique. I haven't seen this many bunts in a long time in watching baseball. When's the last time you saw this much small ball played so consistently, even in a league that has the DH?
Yeah, I don't think I have played, at any level with this many sacrifice bunts. Obviously in high school it'll happen here and there, but in the minor leagues it's more about development. So they want that guy to get that at bat instead of give it up to the team. And then getting into the big leagues, playing most of my career in the AL. I guess somebody had done some math somewhere that says, you're better off just letting the guy swing it. But, I've had, 1 out sacrifice bunts, and the way I kind of look at it as if I'm fielding my position and I'm sound with those fundamentals, it's an out. I'm getting closer to the end of the inning. It's more about execution, and I think that's a part of Japanese baseball is they put the pressure on you to make sure you can execute. And over my first couple of games, I think they're kind of seem to be like, okay, I have some work that I need to get back to as far as being able to think about anticipating, getting off the mound, just certain footwork and fundamentals of getting the ball to first base, communicating with my teammates has been something that we've been working on as well.
So walk me through the original discussions you have with your agent where playing in Japan becomes an option for you, and all the different discussions you have leading up to you signing a contract and deciding that this was going to be your spot for at least this year.
Yeah, last season, my second start of the year, really out of nowhere, I had never had any problem with my knee before, and I'm just going over to cover the base. I think Merrifield hit a ground ball to my first baseman. I kind of, react to go over there, and I feel a pop in my knee, but I could still walk, so I thought I was fine. It was the last pitch of the inning. The trainer had me throw 1 pitch down in the cage underneath the dugout, and my knee buckled. Long story short, I had to have my meniscus repaired, which I I didn't think it would be a season-ending type of deal, but it turned out to I missed the whole season for them repairing my meniscus instead of just taking it out. And as I'm making my way back, I'm starting to think about next year. I think the playoffs, are over and whatnot. My agent asked me if I had have I ever thought, and I had, so this was just a great opportunity for me to be able to pick up and get a healthy season under my belt.
And so you've mentioned that you had some experience in Japan before. You were there when you were a kid. Your father was stationed there as part of the United States military. What did that experience do for just your comfortability level of going to a foreign country that, I think for most American baseball players, they had never been to Japan. So it's a
completely new thing. At least you had some experience having been in the country for a couple of years.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I talked to my dad, my mom and brother about this. It's a little different being fully immersed in the culture. When I was on Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, there was a lot more amenities, a lot more things that we were used to. Obviously the language was an issue. So I didn't have any second thoughts. It was really trying to figure out if it was something that my wife wanted to experience. We have a 1-year-old now, so he was really young back then when we were talking about it, 9-10 months ago. But for the most part, it's been nothing but excitement and wonder. It's something. I'm 31, my wife's 29, so it's something where we're in a great spot in our life to be able to experience something like this. And I think we are trying to take it for what that is. It's a life experience as much as it is a chance for me to continue playing baseball. And so far, we've really, kind of hit a groove here over the last couple of months since things started to open back up.
Yeah, have you been able to experience a little bit of the country and experience something new?
Yes, probably not as much as maybe a normal circumstance season would go. My wife hasn't been able to travel with us to any on any road trips. But as far as the local scenery here around Fukuoka, we've been able to do a couple things for sure. So, it's something that we still have a couple months left here, but yeah, it's been good. I think the weather's starting to get back to being really nice. So we've been going to the beach a lot more.
And hey, life could be a lot worse, right? I think I read somewhere you're near the beach, at least where you're at.
Yeah, we live in Momochihama, it's right on the beach. Yeah, but yeah, it's great. We really lucked out there.
So take me back to when you're first coming out of high school, because you have the experience that not a lot of players get the chance to have. That you're a pretty highly drafted guy coming straight out of high school in New Mexico. You were one of the best players in the state. How difficult is it as a 18, 19-year-old kid to make that decision? I'm going to play pro baseball and then get thrown into the vast kind of mammoth task, it seems like, to getting through a minor league system when you come in at 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, I would say I was, a bit naive, to say the least, because my first spring training, I sign and I go straight to short season. There's 30 guys on my team. Okay, cool. It's rookie ball. It's 30 guys. They're all mostly high school guys themselves. But when I went to my first spring training and there's 150 players in the same locker room, and those aren't even the 40-man roster guys or the big league guys. There's just 150 minor league guys. I kind of remember seeing my scout and being like, man, I didn't know I had to go through all these guys, And at the time, Tampa Bay, I think, had 6 minor league levels. I spent my first 2 seasons at their lowest rookie ball level. And then I went to low A and high A, double A, triple A the same year. But it was, I think something that you either grow up quick or you kind of get left in the dust. And I think from around that age, 16, 17, I kind of always had this this feeling that I had a lot of work to do, that I wasn't good enough where I was. And I think that kind of that feeling of scarcity played into my hand, allowing me to get out of my comfort zone and start training at a different gym or start talking to different guys, trying to figure a way out to just last, to get as far as I could, and I don't think it was until the very end, maybe in 2011 sometime, I really started to believe, all right, I might have a chance to get there, but it took a few years to to kind of find myself and figure out, at least a path that I can start down.
Well, you mentioned 2011. That's the year you make your initial debut in September. Before that, you're in AAA with the Durham Bulls, who at the time the AAA affiliate for the Rays. And I have to ask, how many times did you watch the movie Bull Durham, knowing that you were playing with the Durham Bulls?
Yeah, at the time I had seen it, a handful of times. It's the type of movie I think every ball player probably has seen, like with Sandlot or any of the other baseball greats. But I think I was there for maybe 6-8 weeks or something like that, and at the time that was probably to this day that was my most successful year as a baseball player. So at the time things were coming pretty easy to me. So I do remember enjoying myself there and getting to be a part of that. A little bit of that historic stadium and just team in general was pretty fun.
Big league debut. Is it all that it's hyped up to be?
As far as nerves go, yeah. I was having a hard time feeling the end of my fingertips, and it wasn't because it was cold weather. It was just you had that nerve you couldn't quite shake. Luckily, we were playing at not a great Baltimore team that year, and I came in after Wade Davis. I believe it was already a losing game, so just to kind of get my feet wet. It was. I think I gave up a home run. I think Matt Wieters might have hit a homer off me. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it was the team as I got called up. They were playing really well and trying to get into that wild card spot. So it just wound up, that last month of baseball, is probably, as much fun as I've ever had playing, just trying to get that last spot. We're chasing down a $200+ million payroll Red Sox, and, we're a bunch of young guys and a lot of guys with no experience and only a handful of veterans. That was a great year for us.
So another great year ultimately ended up being 2013 for you. You have a chance to play in the MLB All-Star Game at Citi Field. I wonder, that experience, how amazing is it? Not only you're in the All-Star Game, which is a check in its own, but you're in New York City and it's Mariano Rivera out there. Like, sum up that whole experience.
Yeah, I think that was the year he retired, and I remember in the locker room before the game, he had a couple things he wanted to say, and just how long he had played and how short of time it actually felt like it was to him, and how quick it felt like things had come to an end. Was probably what stuck out the most. I'm sure he played for probably somewhere 15 to 20 years, and for that being his last year, I had never met him before that moment, but there definitely was a little bit of emotion when he went out and pitched his inning and came off the field. Just appreciating not only the player he is, but understanding a little bit more about him after that, the things he's involved in off the field and the type of person he is. He's as big as it gets, but he had time for everybody and felt very genuine.
So August 25th, 2016, you're with the Giants. I'm sure you probably know where I'm going with this. You get into the ninth inning, 2 outs, no hitter. Corey Seager comes up. What do you remember going through your mind before that final batter you faced?
I don't really know if I remember anything specific, but I've watched that inning a few times since then, and I think it's just a matter of he's a good hitter, and I made a good pitch. He just happened to get just enough of it to get out there between my second baseman and my right fielder. But in general, looking back at that start, I needed a good start. That was maybe 3 starts into my Giants stint, and I hadn't pitched too well up until that point. So I was just happy to get us a win against the rivalry team. It would have been great to be able to finish that ninth inning there and kind of, carve out a piece of something for myself. But it was great. That year wound up being a ton of fun as well. So yeah, I think about that often.
How do you choose to remember that? Because I think there's some people you look and you have the bright side where you went 8 2/3 and no-hit baseball. You get the win, and it's exactly what you say. But there's also part of you that goes, man, I was this close. Like, how do you choose to remember it?
Well, it seems like the farther away I get from it, the more bitter I get. But, I think initially, hey, cool, we get a win. It was a getaway game, so we were heading back to San Francisco after the game. Everybody's in a good mood. I still got a beer shower out of the whole deal, so that was fun. But yeah, the farther I get away from it, it's one of the memories that, woulda, coulda, shoulda, or, just kind of the way things worked out. I believe that, it was just meant to be that way.
All right, so I won't keep you too much longer, but we got a kind of quick hitting segment here at the end. 3 for the road. So 3 questions, kind of like all over the map, to have a little bit of fun with you. All right.
All right.
First one, back to the Bull Durham thing. Favorite baseball movie ever?
I would say Sandlot.
Okay. Why?
I think it just takes me back to, one of my favorite part about baseball when I was a kid was the hot dog after the game. It was being with your friends. It was probably the last time we really truly played the game and, had the most fun.
So All-Star Game we hit on 2013 Citi Field. Do you remember the 3 batters you got out in the 5th inning?
I think Carlos Gonzalez.
It's 1.
Yadier Molina.
Yep.
And I don't remember the third.
It's another Rocky, Troy Tulowitzki.
Troy Tulowitzki.
Who was there any batter that you wish you would have faced in that All-Star Game, or are you just happy to get out of it without any issues?
I was definitely just happy to get out of it with any issues. In the bullpen, I bet I threw 20 pitches, and my catcher might have caught 1 for a strike. I mean, I was overthrowing him, short hopping him. And at that time, I was throwing pretty hard, so I can only imagine he was probably just as happy to get me out of there as I was. But wound up working out and getting 3 up, 3 down. So it was fun.
All right, and final one for you. First thing you bought when you got that first big league check?
First thing I bought?
Or like first big purchase where you're like, oh man, like that. Now I feel like I've made it because I can like afford this.
Yeah, I bought a Cadillac in 2013. I bought a Cadillac, traded in. I had a Chevy Malibu that I had for a few years. So I bought a Cadillac, and that was for sure my first big ticket item.
Well, Matt, we appreciate you taking some time. I know it's been a busy time for you over there in Japan. We've had a lot of fun watching your starts. We'll keep watching you, and good luck the rest of the way. We'll catch up again sometime down the road.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Travis.